Hi guys, my name is Colin. Just here to tell you a bit about how I became a Christian and a Bible passage that means something to me, something that when I became a Christian and has developed since then. So I grew up. My parents were both Christians, so I knew about the Bible and about God very young age. In fact, my parents even got me to memorize Bible verses. And I had a sense when I was a kid that God was very loving. I trusted adults. I could see from mum and dad that it really influenced their life, that it was about a lifestyle, it wasn't just a theory. And it, that I could see very clearly their relationship with God and how it impacted them. We were going to a church that was quite kind of a little bit experimental and spread out across Birmingham where I live. So a lot of my friends from church I didn't see very often on a day-to-day basis, and my friends at the time were more from school or from Scouts, which I went to. And there was very different influences there in terms of my mates from Scouts were mostly about, as I became a teenager, they're about drinking and just the things that teenagers do, which I kind of knew I wasn't supposed to be doing as a Christian, but I didn't really know how to stand up and say I was different. So I just kind of went with the flow and fitted in. So, we used to hang around in pubs from when I was about 17, got quite drunk quite often, and just the conversation you wouldn't say was particularly um, uplifting, but I just did the same thing to fit in. But I kind of felt quite a lot of shame about that. I felt like I shouldn't be doing it and I should be like saying, no, I don't do that, I'm a Christian. But I didn't really know what to do about that. When I went to university, I was probably quite convinced that God was real, that there was strong intellectual reasons for God's existence. And yeah, kind of, I knew I was really thought Jesus was really, really amazing the way he appeared in the Bible, but I just didn't know how I could follow him. Like, I didn't have the strength to stand against culture. I just kind of did what I needed to do to fit in, and that was that. So I started going to a Baptist church, and I think that's where I really kind of started connecting with God on a deeper spiritual level. It wasn't a particularly charismatic or crazy church. You might get one person clapping their hands during the song, so it was pretty amazing. Um, but I just kind of got impacted by the Spirit, and I got impacted by the idea of grace. So I realized that I was putting up all these masks and trying to just fit in, and I wasn't really being myself, and I felt shame about that. And I understood that God could see right through that. He could see right through me, basically. He could see who I was. He knew about all the things I did all the time, that I tried to hide from other people. He knew about exactly who I was. And yet, despite all that, he still loved me so much that he died for me. That Jesus knew who I was. He knew how much of a sinner I was. And he died for me. And that came across in a verse that I was looking at, that I was memorizing, which is Romans 4:8, which said, But God demonstrates his love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. It's just that idea that I was exactly how I was. I wasn't changed. I didn't have any strength to live a holy life. I wasn't a holy person, a good person. I didn't have a particular character, but God still decided he wanted to die for me, because he loved me. And that just kind of blew me away, really, completely. Couldn't understand how someone could love you that much. So that was kind of an explosion, really. And suddenly I felt my whole life and my whole heart changing. Instead of having to try to be good, I actually really wanted to do that. So I wanted to be close to Jesus, and I wanted to be like Jesus, and I wanted to get to know him better. So I was, the Bible started coming alive, and I was reading it and thinking, like, this is God talking to me. And I was talking to my friends, and I was kind of just just excited about God and really motivated by the understanding that no matter what I was like, with all the masks removed, God loved me that much. And I've kind of been going from there, really. Still got that kind of love burning in my heart, keeping me going. Um, if you have. Just enjoying Romans 5:11. Just thought there that, and hope does not disappoint because God has poured his love into our hearts. I think that really chimes with my experience when I was at uni at that church, and I just felt God's love come for me. But I'm going to tell you a story about later. I finished university and decided to go travelling with my brother. My brother's 2 years younger, but he was just finishing school when I finished uni. So what we went to do is we went to do the Camino de Santiago, which is an old medieval pilgrimage route across Europe. We started in Orléans and we walked across France and then we walked to Spain. A great adventure we went on. But in the first week, and I mentioned before, I was a scout, so I'd done lots and lots of walking. So I was like, yeah, this is fine. We'll just do some walking. And then in the first week, I developed 3 blisters on my feet, 2 on one foot, 1 on the ball of one foot, and 1 on each heel. And I'd never had blisters before in my life. I was like, what is going on? I'm supposed to be walking for the next 2.5 months, and I've got blisters in the first week. Nightmare. So we were walking along. My brother is a great guy, but he's quite hard. He's not into compassion, he's into strength. And he just said, you got to keep going. The pain is only in your head. Just walk through the pain. What am I supposed to do about that? So I was walking along in agony, really not liking it, thinking, I'm going to give up. I'm going to give up this. It's supposed to be an adventure of a lifetime. I'm going to pull out in the first week. We just get to a city with the next train station. I'm on this first train home. And I was memorizing verses. In fact, I decided to memorize this whole passage as we were walking. So I started at the start and I was memorizing verses, and I got to that verse 3. So we rejoice in being saved. Not only is this so, but we also rejoice in our sufferings. And I was like, what? I was going through real pain, really thinking about giving up. And I'm seeing Paul say, I rejoice in my sufferings. And I'm like, what planet are you on? Oh, goodness me. So that was really, God was really teaching me something there and really challenging me about perseverance and keeping going. And I think that's what this passage is about. And that love which I experienced right the way through with my parents and the church I went to in that community, going through into university where it became more personal and direct for me. The love actually entered my heart and transformed me. And then going forward as we go through difficult times, even the times we're in now, I hold on to that love, and that gives me perseverance, that I can rejoice. The power of that love, the security of having that love in my heart gives me power to rejoice even when things look like they're really going badly. And I just remember, anyway, I kept going. I needed my brother to be tough and keep me going, and we need other people sometimes for perseverance. And I kept going, and I remember after 2.5 months, we stood in Santiago capital. We'd walked for 2.5 months, and I stood looking at the cathedral, and we'd made it across the whole of France and the whole of Spain. And I thought, what would have happened if I'd given up in the first week? I'd have missed out on all this experience. And it kind of taught me, it's not a major thing, is it? Walking, it's not a big achievement compared to other achievements we achieve in life, like being a parent or being a friend or or just following God. But it taught me about perseverance, and it taught me that sometimes things are hard, but you got to keep going, and it'll get better. And it's worth getting to the end. And I like this passage because it says perseverance will bring you character, and character will bring you hope. And that's what the Christian life is about. It's a slog sometimes, but you do get character and you do get hope. Okay? Right. I'm supposed to pray, I think, at the end, so I better pull myself together and pray. Father, thank you for your love for us. Lord, I just praise you for the way you accept us, no matter who we are. And you lift us up and you give us a sure footing. Lord, we can trust you in all circumstances, even the hardest ones. And I praise you that you have proven yourself faithful to me personally, to many, many people, and you will continue to prove faithful as we go through challenges in our life. And you will carry us through to the end of our journey. Amen.